can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way.
My name is Joey Reynolds. I'm giving you my name because you may not have seen it at the beginning of this, and they're not using a name tag. But my daughter is what this is about. It's a story of me and my daughter. I'm 40 years sober. She's growing marijuana. She says for medical purposes. This is what I looked like when I found out she was growing marijuana. And then we'll take a journey on where she is with it, growing pot in her garage in California in what they call the triangle. In that triangle, there are many people who've been growing pot long before it was fashionable and long before it was medically approved. And it's only medically approved. Don't forget, you can only have each person 100 plants. So what happens? You get new family members. All of a sudden we have 27 people on a bus that were not in the family who are growing marijuana and using my name. Anyway, I want to take you on this journey. So here's where we go. Let's start with her. This is Mercedes, not the car, my daughter.
What are you doing?
I'm a guy from New York. I want to put you on my iPad. Why not? So wait a minute. You got roaches in your apartment? You know what you need?
What?
You need a roach clip.
I used to smoke roaches.
My daughter's got that up in marijuana country. She's got a lot of roaches.
That's right. Oh, really? I bet she does.
I got to get my iPOT, my iPad.
You got to prove.
Don't use the word pot. You're in Humboldt County. They don't know what that means here. This is my daughter, and I'm doing a video with her. We're doing actually a medical marijuana thing. I'm waiting for medical cocaine. What am I hearing? Is that a buzz? Or do they tattoo here as well?
Yes. That's what I'm getting you for your birthday.
What are you giving me for my
Prison
birthday?
tattoo.
Give me a headache for my birthday. Humboldt County in California is the hubbub now of medical marijuana. It's part of what they call the Emerald Triangle. Actually, the place that is most known for it was Mendocino, and the other two adjoining places where I was just now have this great hill area with many plants growing, and they're monitored by the DEA. They know it's there, but the government is kind of using a relaxed fit with the marijuana because they don't want to really take everybody and send them all to jail. Otherwise, we'll have to pay for them to be in jail, probably. I don't know the politics of it. I decided to not go down the political road, but go down the music road. So first of all, let me show you the hills of Humboldt County. Here they are, and you'll see some very secret growing places. Why are we holding on to the Grateful Dead? What did they do that why are we holding on to it?
They're giving us, I think, a sign of hope, and also I think it's inspiring as a young guy who's really into music to watch them. They were the same guys. They were the same guys taping bluegrass shows, and it's a love of the music and not just the scene and the psychedelics or the drugs or whatever it is. When I moved here, I slid into this guy's property out here, out on this mountain, a half hour out here, and it's one of the premier spots in the county. It's like well known.
So what do we call this here? This is called what?
Kern Creek Ranch.
You're like one of these hillbillies. You make a right at the Jesus Save sign. So what's your name?
Sequoia.
Sequoia. Are you a Native American?
I am a little bit.
Are you really? Where's your casino?
I don't know.
You know the Fagawi Indians?
I do not.
Oh, those are the ones when you're lost. You turn to someone and you say, "We're the Fagawi." So this is it. This is
yeah.
This is part of the empire that strikes back.
Yeah.
So when do we get out of this business? When it's legalized for recreational?
You know, I mean, I'm hoping that when they do that people still get their herb from me. Right now, we're just supplying the dispensaries on a legal basis, and so we're paying taxes on it and all that stuff. So
you have to pay taxes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah.
Now this is an irrigation system over here.
Yeah, we have a 25,000 gallon water bladder that's up in the woods on up here. What you see right here are blackout tarps. Those tarps right there are what we pull on
at 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah, but we don't do it yet. We're gonna let our plants get big, and then once they're structurally sound enough to like hold weight on without breaking or snapping, and we have it's called a trellis net that the branches grow up into that supports the weight. We clean all that off because we don't it harbors mites and bugs and mildew and mold. So anything that's not getting light is not going to produce money for us, so we cut it out. What these big poles are in the middle, we have pulleys on the top of them, and the ropes are attached to the tarps. So each man gets a pole and a rope, and there's a pulley on each side of the pole. So each one of these poles pulls the tarps on both of those hoops in a matter of a couple minutes, instead of 3 guys trying to pull a whole tarp. Each zone has its own color, and that way you know if you run over a pipe or anything like that that starts gushing water, you know where the pipe came from and what zone it goes to.
So I guess you learned from Ringling Brothers.
Huh?
You know how to put on a circuit?
It's basically freebasing weed.
Okay.
On this side is more of a wax, and on this side is more of an oil or sap or shatter is what they call it, because if you put it in the freezer and you pop it out, it'll actually just, whoops, just like that. It shatters into pieces. So, there you go.
Wow. That's like, you don't want to wet your cocaine, do you?
No. Well, that's,
That's a whole other deal.
I did back in the day. So it's just like a bong.
Right.
See that? Okay. So, take that.
Oh, you got to fire it up, huh?
Take your torch. This is why I said it's like freebasing. This is what takes the innocence out of marijuana.
Yeah.
You get this thing burning just coal hot, red hot. And getting there right now.
This is going to be on the cooking channel.
Here we go. We'll go sap first.
I can smell that. It smells like sandalwood. Not a good commercial.
I'm trying to make this look as least appealing to the kids at home
Yeah,
as
good.
possible.
Oh, it's so nice of you to turn everybody
it
on.
hurts. Oh my god, it's so painful.
Are you getting high from this?
I feel it already.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wait a minute. What did you just ask me?
Do you always choke?
Wait, what?
Do you always cough on this?
What did you ask me? And I love to smoke weed, and I like to get high and all that stuff.
You ever have any Indians over here?
Oh yeah, Indians?
Yeah.
Yeah. I work really closely with one of my really good friends is a Yurok.
Do they like this?
Do they like us?
They grow their own.
Do they like us, or do they like
They
this?
like this. Do they like your product?
Hell yeah, they like it.
Yeah.
I mean, let me take a second here. I don't know that all Indians like it. I know that the ones that I know love it.
Do they grow their own?
Yeah, yeah.
They've always done that. So
And here's the story on that. Humboldt County, you're allowed to grow legal marijuana. When Bush was president, they were really trying to squash out this whole medical marijuana thing fast, and they couldn't. I mean, it was a snowball rolling down a hill. Once California got the thing going, and really started figuring out that it is a country run by the people, or supposed to be, and the state, decides how this is supposed to happen. So we had a state law that disagreed with the federal law, and the Indians, which it's funny because they're the ones that get to have the casino gambling, and they get to have, of course they get to go and throw their nets across the rivers to, they can net fish, and they can put a barb on their hook here. We can't. And I understand these things and why. They've been here forever, and it's their natural born right. But they are not allowed to grow marijuana on the reservation. If the feds find out anything about any growing, or that the Indians or the tribe are allowing it, they are denying them any kind of access to medical marijuana by withholding federal funds to their schools and their kids and all that stuff. So the Indians are not allowed to live off the land in that fashion.
No, they use other drugs.
Yeah, it's sad, man. They've got a bad speed problem over in Humboldt. Like a lot of the Indians around here have, and I hear that in every state, but I've seen it firsthand here, and it's a sad thing, And I don't think it's because they don't let them grow weed, but I don't know what the reason is.
It's beginning early. Clocks are running
You see, there's a lot of activity going on that's unannounced, but it has to be because it's illegal to grow marijuana for recreational purposes in California. Now, New York's coming along and other states are going to follow suit because it seems to be that everybody wants to have this kind of organized so that they can get into the money part of it. So on the money trail, they cannot loan you money for something that's illegal from banking easily. So what has to happen is you have to have financial private investors. And the other part of it is, why do I care about the politics anyway? I don't care about politics. Let's be honest about it. People are looking at it to make a fortune. They think going to Colorado or California is a gold rush. But you got to know what you're doing. You have to know how to grow pot. So we got pot growers here. And my daughter, since she is making medical marijuana history by being my daughter and announcing on television that she's doing this legally and paying taxes, I want you to watch this closely because she's going to show you how to grow marijuana.
You saw babies last time you were here. These are all new ones.
These are new babies.
New babies. So,
What's in
last time
here?
you saw
What's in that
this
secret room here?
Last time you saw this room, it was empty.
Wow.
Here's my license, by the way, before we go any further.
Okay.
This is all good. So,
Wow.
you saw these guys.
Whoa, wait a minute.
These guys were those guys last time you were here. These guys were
They
the babies.
become adults.
These were the babies you saw last time. You can tell this room is much cooler than the others because we need to keep the mites away. Dang spider mites, I'll tell you. They're,
What are
worse.
spider mites? What are they?
Basically, they're little parasites and they eat your vegetation. They eat the plant.
Oh, you mean government employees?
Basically. These are 3 kings.
There are what, 3 kings?
Yep. 3 kings.
You mean they were there at the Nativity?
Yes. They brought myrrh and frankincense.
Yeah. I don't think this is what the 3
And
kings brought.
gold.
And what?
And gold.
You hope they bring gold.
I hope they bring gold.
If they don't,
Then I'll start all over.
look at the color
Yeah.
in this room is gold.
I'm going to change the bulbs because if you use the bulbs more than about twice, you get about half the crop.
Oh.
So I have a whole new box of bulbs I got to change out tomorrow. These are 3 kings. These are platinums. If you smell it, you can smell the difference. Go ahead and smell it, Ben.
Do I look all right?
It's legal, but it might be a sin.
Is this good lighting? Because I may use this for my TV show.
I think we got your good side.
Okay. Side? Excuse me? I thought the entire...
I mean, you look good. See, smell those and I'll smell these ones. You can smell the difference.
You know, when you make pesto, you take a little bit of this basil and you put it in a blender along with pine nuts and cheese, you know, Parmesan cheese and what else? Garlic. And you make a pesto sauce. Can we make a pesto marijuana?
Yeah, we can.
I wonder what that would taste like.
Delicious.
Yeah, I'll bet it would be delicious.
Now smell this one. You can
You know, you
smell
have
the
a
difference.
very this would make it literally would make a comeback.
Yeah.
All right, so now when you're homegrown, you use this fan. That's what the noise is.
That's this. That intake from the out. It pulls air from under the house and puts it in, and pulls it into the room.
Yeah.
To keep it cool, because if you feel just the heat, if you just put your hand right under, you feel how hot that is, and you can burn your plants and then attract parasites like mites and stuff like that.
So you have a big electric bill.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to set it up so that, you know, because a lot of people take their stuff from out here and send it to New York, and that's not legal, not kosher at all.
No. What is
it's
it
a big risk too, you know, so it's kind of pointless because ultimately you'll lose. It's like going to the casino. As much as you gamble in, you're going to lose. You might win once, but, you know, you're going to lose too.
Good for the post office. See, now we're going to save Little Italy and the post office. I'm so glad I visited.
We're going to save the world.
Now we're going into the little room. This is the waiting room now.
This is the waiting room.
So this is the incubation.
Yeah, basically. So
Yeah.
these guys, those guys were basically about this size last time we came.
Yeah.
And
Wait, I want to hear you get close to a microphone.
This is their next stage.
This is my iPOT.
Your iPOT. That's great. That's really great, actually. You should
All
go
right.
like that. So.
Wait a minute. I got to follow you now.
Yep. Watch your footing. It's tricky in here right now. So I was going to show you.
Yes, I could fall into sin.
Yeah. These are the babies.
Yeah.
Now what I've done is take clippings off of those plants, and you can make your own hormone, or you can buy a rooting hormone, and you dip them, and you put them in these cubes and let them incubate in these domes here for about a week. So
All right, now what is this here? This is the...
Those ones were about the size of the inch ones, the inch tall ones that you saw last time you were here also. See, they're under very low light, so they're not growing very fast.
Are you controlling them?
Well, I'm trying to keep them low so that they're ready to go in there after we cut those down.
I see.
So then we can put those in there to be our new babies. And these will also be in there. That's why I cut them so tall.
When can we smoke them?
Well, technically, you could try to smoke anything. When will it work?
Yeah.
In about 4 weeks.
Oh. And you're hoping to buy some property
Yes.
so that you can do this outdoors.
Yes.
Now, what's the difference between indoor and the outdoor?
The electric bill? No. Well, each plant yields more. And,
What, outdoors?
yeah. Yeah.
Is there a better quality product indoors?
No, indoor is better quality product, yeah.
Now, are you going to get rich from this?
No.
You're not? What the
No.
hell are you doing it for then? That's a waste of time.
No, it's not.
It's not?
I like doing it, and I help people and myself, and it's like having any other job. If you're fortunate in this life to find a job that you can get by doing, that you like doing, then you're a very lucky person, I think.
So what's the difference between California and Colorado?
I can't speak on that because I haven't spent too much time in Colorado since the whole legalization. I did spend some time out there before it was legal.
You know, I worked in Colorado
Yeah, I do know that.
on KOA radio and television.
Yeah.
And you know who my guests were?
Yeah.
John Denver,
Oh, yeah, I
You know-
remember, and you had that record that you helped design.
Rocky Mountain High. Do you
Yeah.
think he was an advocate of marijuana?
What do you think?
He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he'd never been before. He left yesterday behind him. You might say he was born again. You might say he found the key for every door. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado.
And how about Judy Collins? She was on the issue a long time ago. Both sides now.
Flows and flows of angel hair.
Yeah. And
I
then there was Willie Nelson, who smoked his entire lawn in evergreen.
Yes.
He mowed it with his teeth.
He mowed it with his cheek.
So this is fun. I'm really happy to have visited my daughter who's growing marijuana for medical purposes.
Yeah.
Do you have to put a sign on the side of the pack that says caution, this may cause cancer or cure it?
Or cure it.
Yeah, I'm just joking. But of course, you know, the Four Seasons left me out of the movie and
I
out of
know.
the Broadway
Those
show.
shysters.
After I made Sherry a big hit.
I know. That's
So
my
you-
favorite story.
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. If you're going to San Francisco, you're gonna meet some gentle people there.
I took a magic carpet ride to San Francisco to visit Clint Werner. He's the author of Gateway to Health. It's about marijuana, and he wrote this book, which is fascinating, about 5 or 6 years ago, about the value of marijuana, long before it was even thought that it might be legal. So here's Clint.
I could see this coming, which is why I wrote the book, because I could see what the science was saying and how this could no longer be ignored. The science is clear. Marijuana's cannabinoids supplement our own internal cannabinoids. We make cannabinoids. If you've never used marijuana, you're holding cannabinoids. Essentially you theoretically could be arrested for having an analog of marijuana's THC in your body.
So this has got to be cannabinoiding you for a long time.
Yeah. and so anyway,
I'm going to go to pun hell. You know that.
You're a punographer.
Ooh.
These cannabinoids, I could see, the studies show that what they do is they match up with our own protective compounds. And these compounds in our bodies, they exist to regulate practically every system and organ function in our body and modulate it and protect it from toxicity and inflammation.
Well, then there's no comparison between this and liquor.
No. Everything, cannabis, marijuana protects us from many of the harms that liquor does. Alcohol. There was a recent finding when they looked at alcohol and they determined that there is no safe threshold for alcohol use with regard to cancer risk. All alcohol use to some degree promotes cancer. All marijuana use discourages cancer because the cannabinoids work selectively on cancer cells. THC attacks cancer cells through receptors and changes their genetic expression so that they produce compounds that cause themselves to die off. Like they go into a form of suicide called apoptosis, the dying off of cells. Cancer cells selectively are attacked by cannabinoids, while the healthy surrounding cells are enhanced in their health.
Doctors know this.
They don't. Very few doctors do, because cannabinoid science is only beginning to be taught in medical school.
So what do you want to see happen?
I want to see doctors, physicians get curious about this, wipe the reefer madness residue away from their consciousness, and deal with this on a scientific level and look at it. I want the public to learn that marijuana has powerful protective effects and that they can protect themselves from Alzheimer's, diabetes, various forms of cancer, maybe all forms of cancer, other inflammation-related diseases, liver disease, kidney disease, heart disease, because it's the inflammation that promotes these diseases, and marijuana neutralizes this inflammation. I want the public to get on board with legalization, and we need to get it legalized, because people who don't want to get high can benefit from marijuana. You can take tincture, and you can take a dropper full of tincture before you go to bed, and you're not going to get high, but what that tincture is going to do is introduce these cannabinoids into your body that are going to sabotage the inflammation process. They're going to stop some of this oxidative damage. They're going to modulate any harmful immune reaction that is attacking your body and put you in a better state of health. There's no arguing this. This is science and it's fact.
One of the great places in San Francisco is on Vallejo Street in North Beach. It's called Cafe Trieste. Been there for 60 years. It's a funky place, and it's the home of the favorite of a lot of stars, including Bill Cosby and Robin Williams, people who may have been near marijuana. But the fact of the matter is we have a lot of rock and roll stars there, like Paul Cantor, who is the creator of the Jefferson Starship, and the various artists who have crossed their paths in San Francisco. Everybody winds up at the Cafe Trieste for at least a fix of coffee.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we're in Humboldt County and we're in Arcata, and I'm just taking a little look at homegrown medical marijuana, and I've got my homegrown iPad, and we're going to look at iPods. Is that what it is? Is this a process? What's your name?
I'm Mariah.
And what's your name?
Trey.
Trey.
Yes.
That's what you put all your pods in. Or are you putting all your hope in and what's your name again?
Mariah.
Mariah, that's
Yes.
right. They call the wood Mariah. Did you ever hear that song?
Oh my gosh, you're the first one that's actually said that to me since I
Great
was like
song.
5.
That's because I'm old. You're smoking a cigarette. How dumb is that? Why would you be in a place where they have marijuana and you smoke a cigarette?
Well, we smoke both.
I like the taste of
They're all
tobacco.
spliffs.
It's a how would you say, a nostalgic form.
Oh.
What we have here is referred to as sinsemilla. It is the flowers that do not have seeds. They've not been introduced to the male counterpart because marijuana is one of the few plants that has both male and female sex.
Yep.
Most plants
It's all
are
true.
most plants are unisex and don't need to be bred, such as marijuana plants do.
But yeah, it's just a byproduct pretty much of the stalks of the actual plant. They get really thick and yeah, they actually get really
Well,
big.
they look like they're thick and tired.
Yeah, well, those are very, very new.
What are you doing? He's taking his clothes off.
Well, I have to take
Are
my
you gonna
clothes off.
pretend
I'm
that
in the
you're
middle. I'm in the middle of getting a tattoo,
Oh, yeah.
which is the star tetrahedron inside of the flower of life, and these are pyramids that, if it wasn't flat, you'd be able to see that it is a pyramid inside of a pyramid intermeshed like this, and this as well.
I hope
All right, so
so.
let me see. What are you? Turn around. What you got on the back? Oh,
I have
nothing.
on my back. I have
Yeah, well, you got
smoke.
something there.
This is the
That's the map to Rhode Island.
tetrahydrocannabinoid, also referred to as THC. This is
Molecule.
lysergic diethylamide, and this is dimethyltryptamine.
Okay. So, how old are you?
I'm 25 years old now.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was doing when I was 25.
Yes.
I was giving myself a tattoo. And what we're doing is we're taking the marijuana and we are budding it. We're taking the buds.
And then from
Oh, these
there,
lovely ladies
the
right
buds are processed to a food or medical grade, and or they are put into concentrates through various procedures, cold water extraction and such, so that they may be made into edibles for people with cancer who do not want to further damage their bodies by smoking. They're just eating it so that they can receive the oils and terpenes, cannabinoids that actually are
You can-
healthy for your body.
And you're still smoking. Put that down.
I can't stop.
We got to get you a bong.
Put it down.
You know, my bong is actually on a Grateful Dead bus. Way down
here
the
we
road.
go. So this is it. This is the procedure. Now my daughter, of course, is in the medical marijuana business. You know,
Yes, sir.
she calls it a growing industry,
It is.
and we're in California, so that means it's not legal to do it recreationally yet.
Yes, sir. That's true.
It's all medical.
Fortunately, I have a medical problem, so I am legally allowed to be on these premises doing what
Me too.
I am doing.
You got one too?
Yep.
Where's your prescription?
My prescription is hanging on the wall at my house.
Well, I feel for the people who are still in the throes of alcoholism, who are still in the throes of addiction. And yes, you can become an addict of marijuana. It just, to me, if there's an expression, the lesser of all evils, that's it. It grows out of the ground. It's nature's way. The Indians ate peyote. It came from mushrooms and out of the ground. It's a natural substance. If God didn't want us to have it, He wouldn't have put it in the ground and He wouldn't have made it able to grow. Alcohol, you have to process it and distill it, and it's like putting poison into your system on a daily basis.
Well, it's the same with all the pharmaceuticals. They're all man-made.
They are all man-made, and they're all bad, and it's a Class 2 drug. Morphine, codeine, etc., barbiturates, they're Class 2 medications. Guess what? Marijuana is listed as a Class 2 narcotic. It just shouldn't be.
it's ubiquitous in this culture, alcohol. And it's so much more harmful. There's a study in binge drinking teenagers, and they wanted to see if using marijuana made the brain damage from alcohol worse. What they found out is that the binge drinking teens who smoked marijuana had a significant reduction in brain damage because marijuana shielded the brain cells from these responses to alcohol poisoning and stopped the chain reaction of damage that alcohol causes.
I love the music. When we were turning on, we used to say, tune in, turn on.
Yeah.
And I loved the music. I thought it was
Jefferson
great.
Airplane, The Doors, The Grateful Dead, Sly and the Family Stone.
I don't think I could
Marvin
do this.
Gaye.
I don't think I could do this
God.
with Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift.
No, music is atrocious. I mean, we're off on the side, but I'm sorry. Our music was better. It's it's just sad. Carlos Santana. I mean, there's nothing like that anymore. The artistry is not. It's all product and image, and I think we all have to acknowledge the promoter Bill Graham.
Amon, one of the great stars of rock and roll, Bob Marley. We forgot him. No, we didn't. We didn't forget anybody who was that outrageous. He had dreadlocks, and I think he was smoking them at one time. But Jamaica, which has a religious component, they were saying it's part of religion to get high. And I'm sure it is. After I die, I hope to get high. I hope to go to heaven. But here's the bit on this. Bob Marley was way ahead of his time. And a lot of people follow him because he was revolutionary. And revolutionary seems to tie in with smoking marijuana because it's rebel. And rebel is rock and roll. And rock and roll is where I started.
I was going to shoot this with X-rays.
Don't hurt me.
I was going to use X-rays, but I figured this would be a better resolution.
Okay.
All right, now you're an expert at, for some reason, I met you, and other than being a dentist, you are a citizen of the planet. And you have a tremendous radio following. You're on WABC radio every week, for instance, and you were on WMCA in New York. But you're not trying to be anybody special, but you are. And you're also not being fried right now or roasted, but I have to explain who you are a little bit because your opinion counts. Marijuana is now being legalized in New York State, kind of. And of course the rest of the country, some of it we're following, but they'll follow us, and it'll probably be legalized.
Well, the issue is not whether or not marijuana is good or bad. The issue is, what is the government doing involved in this? That's the issue. There's no question that people get high on marijuana. There also is no question it's got medicinal uses as well. Many. And we're finding out even more. Different cannabinoids affect different conditions. And it may even get to the point where dentists will be prescribing it for some of the illnesses the patient has. But the issue here is, what right did the government have to make it illegal to begin with? What right does the government have to walk into your home and tell you what to do? You have a history, for example, laudanum. 100 years ago, a lot of women would do one bottle of laudanum, it's got opium, and they would be addicted. That wasn't good, something had to be done, and they did make laws against its use, and it made sense because you do it once and you're addicted. That is not the case with marijuana, nor is it the case with alcohol. So you really have to wonder why the government got involved. Now, what are the results? The results are pretty clear. You have a lot of innocent people in jail cells with real criminals. You have this poor kid who got caught with a joint in the same jail cell as someone who robs banks. Well, guess what? He's going to learn how to rob banks. So it's just fundamentally wrong. And basically, again, what right does the government have to interfere in your life? Now, marijuana is very useful for patients in chemo. Marijuana is useful for glaucoma. It's useful for a lot of things. But let's face it, a lot of people just get high on marijuana. But so what? How is that the government's business? This is my problem. And you'd think we would have learned from Prohibition. We didn't. No one's saying that alcohol is good. It doesn't really matter if you think alcohol is good or bad. What matters is, what right does the government have to do this? And you have to ask what the lawyers ask. Cui bono est? Who benefits? Who benefited from this? The lawyers. Now, is it good or bad? We could discuss that for quite some time. Of course, it's better for children not to smoke it. We know that it has an amotivational effect on a lot of children. But we also know, even as Bill O'Reilly very reluctantly admitted, that there are many people who smoke every day and has no effect on them. You would never know it.
I really appreciate your comments, and we've heard quite enough. And as they say at the Weight Watchers meeting, roll me a fat one. Now, when we talked before, you have had so many books. When I had the radio show on WOR, geez, God, I mean, you know, the Walt Disney, I could go through all of them. There's so many books, but let's go to the ones about the pot smoking. Did Phil Oakes like marijuana?
He was afraid of it. He didn't really take drugs. But Jack Nicholson was a big pot smoker. He was really his whole crowd was into smoking dope out there.
Steve McQueen?
McQueen, yeah. Also a drinker.
James Brown?
James Brown, I was afraid to ask him what he took. Whatever he was on, I wanted to stay to the opposite side.
Now, these are the books that you wrote, and also Walt Disney. How about Walt Disney?
Yeah, well, he would not be a pot smoker. Cary Grant dropped acid. He was one of the first people to take LSD.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, nothing.
Erin Brockovich.
I don't know what she said. She likes to drink. She likes to have a good time.
Yeah, she's great. She's a good sport, too.
Oh, yeah. Real fun. Clint Eastwood. Her friend Clint Eastwood. And Michael Douglas.
And nobody at the Friars.
No, and nobody at the Friars. But for the Friars is my living room. Because I live in the building. And this serves as my social center and my gathering point. For me, it's a very New York thing. You meet friends in a bar or a restaurant. You don't meet in their home so much because nobody has that much room.
Well, nobody has this much money. I want to get your perspective. You know, you're the only guy in The Sopranos that didn't get whacked, just about.
I whacked everybody.
Yeah, but nobody whacked you.
No.
When do you get your turn?
I don't get whacked.
Why? Because you stay on the show?
The show is over. How could you be a fucking drug-free counselor and all that there, and now you're promoting fucking marijuana?
Promoting it.
Huh? What do you mean you're promoting it? Your daughter is growing it.
Medical marijuana.
The same shit.
It's not. It's for medical purposes.
Yeah, it's for your ass purposes.
You don't believe it? You don't think it's so?
Yeah, oh yeah. Medical marijuana. It don't get you high, it gets rid of your pain.
So Cha-Cha, what if you put a little bit of marijuana on your brain? I think you'd calm down a little.
Should put a little marijuana on your brain. You've been drug-free too long. I think you need to get on drugs.
You do.
Because you're losing it.
I am. Well, it's fun visiting you because you're always so positive and cheery.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite people. You always make me feel good about myself.
Very good. You should feel good about yourself.
Why?
You're a very successful guy. All right?
I think so.
When my next lifetime, I want to be you. You snorted more coke and smoked more pot and drank more fucking alcohol than a motorcycle gang.
All of your friends are that way.
And now you've been preaching clean and sober
40 years.
For how many years?
40 years.
40
I don't
years.
Smoke and drink, you know that.
Did you smell it in your daughter's grow house?
I did. As a
All
matter of
right,
fact.
so that's getting high.
No, my grandson's going to school. He's going He's going to go to Contact High.
Very good. Your grandson is going to school. He's going to grow up on a pot farm. That's very healthy for your grandchildren.
Now, what about Danny DeVito?
Give me a break. You got to watch out your daughter don't wind up in jail. The government The federal government didn't give no federal licenses.
Now, I saw Danny DeVito on his show, on that Philadelphia show.
Yeah.
He's pro marijuana.
Yeah.
And Danny, it seems to stunt its growth.
He doesn't smoke.
He does on that show.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's acting.
Oh, see. Well, I guess all those years I was just acting.
Yeah.
I would have gotten an Oscar for my performance with cocaine. No, you're a good guy, Chacha. You know, we're clean and sober, but we ours do not.
I'm not clean and sober.
You're not? Why? What are you doing wrong?
I'm eating.
Oh, I see.
I'm a foodaholic. That's a drug.
Yeah.
Food is a drug.
And you know what you get the munchies from, don't you?
Medical marijuana.
What used to be the Improv has turned into an Italian restaurant, and it's called Don Giovanni in New York. The Wall, which you see famously on all of these comedy shows, was initiated here. So here's the Wall, and this is the celebration with Jerry Seinfeld and Kramer, who we're going to talk to. This is the Wall. This is the Wall. And look at some of the names. You might recognize George Carlin, too. When I think of marijuana, you know who I think of?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of you and a bong and a roach clip.
Yeah, well, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah. So what did we do? Did you have the experience of fighting for the legalization?
Yes, in 1972, 3, 4, I was a spokesperson for NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. There were two national spokespeople, me and this young singer-songwriter named Chris Christopherson. He was also a spokesperson. And we had fundraisers and raised money, and, you know, we went, I was based in Florida at the time, so we went to Tallahassee because there was a preposition on a bill that was coming up to decriminalize. That was the key word. Everybody was afraid to say legalize. They were decriminalizing, you know, which is why I think this legal marijuana is a lot of crap. I think that any restrictions on drugs is a lot of crap. You know, there are 2 states now that have recreational marijuana, which is a huge step forward, but it should be recreational, anything you want to recreate yourself with. I'm an advocate for that. I haven't smoked a joint in 15 years. I haven't done anything other drugs in 20 years. But I'm still advocating very heavily for not decriminalization, just complete legalization and total non-enforcement.
If we're going to have gambling in Atlantic City, we'll put it towards education, we'll put it towards old people. You know, old people have come and gone, and there ain't been no education.
Well, that's because you have corrupt politicians.
No.
The concept of what to do with this revenue is quite clear, that, you know, it should be going toward mental health, it should be going toward education, and it should be going to help people.
By the time I got to Woodstock, they were 500,000 strong. Everywhere there were songs and celebration, and I dreamed I saw the bummers.
Town has grown like a weed. Where is the weed?
Turning into butterflies above our nation. We are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden.
Who are we talking to here? This looks like a Carlin.
Yeah, this is Patrick, George's
Patrick.
older bro.
Oh, I would never use my brother to get famous.
Oh, no. Well, you don't have to do that because people know right away, man, our voices are just about the same.
Well, also, you're funny.
Oh, there you go. I thank you for
and
that.
you're original.
Yeah.
And you have this quick and...
Kian Sabe.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought of you this morning. I watched you on TV and all, and I said here, hey, Joey, a guy like you should have this book. It's just right up your alley. My wife said, what kind of show is he doing there? And I said, well, it's like one of the guys on the corner. That's 123rd in Amsterdam, Upper West Side. It's like they would take one of the guys off the corner and say, Joey, do a show for us here. And it's wonderful. I really love it.
Oh, well, you're great.
As far as I'm concerned, medical marijuana has been happening since 1966. Every time I smoke it, I feel better. So that's a breakthrough right there. That's a medical thing. And I prescribed it for myself to prevent glaucoma. And I'm 82 years old, and the glaucoma hasn't shown up yet. So I'm thinking it's a good medical thing.
Now, that's wonderful. Who did you bring with you? Who's this guy over here?
This is Butch Denner.
Now, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Butch, get over here. Come
Good
on.
to see you.
Hello, Joey. Kazadich.
But, Gazadich. Maki Kasafa.
I'm the most Italian Jew you'll ever meet.
Well, we're in the Catskills.
Yes, we are.
So is this
Absolutely.
where they killed Mr. Katz?
I go to Katz's on Delancey.
No, you're
Houston.
you're a wonderful guy to have a friend like Patrick.
Oh, perfect.
You guys
man.
are great together.
It was like meeting a guy that you knew in front, you know.
Yeah.
It's a nice, relaxed
Well, you
feeling.
needed an opening act.
Cool.
So, Butch.
Yes, sir.
Where are you from originally? You said Delancey. I guess you're a New Yorker.
Well, my family's from Brooklyn. I was raised in White Plains, but I was really grown up in here upstate. I came to New Paltz when it was still a college in 1968. And I discovered Woodstock immediately. I had already discovered pot. And it's funny because we took a ride in a Volkswagen bus in September of 68 on acid to look for Dylan and the band. And years later, I ended up managing the band and meeting Bob and being friendly. So, life has a full circle to it.
Okay, is he truly a poet?
He's got the worst handshake I've ever seen. But yeah, he's a poet. You listen to Visions of Johanna, and you tell me he's not a poet.
Why is it that we needed the music to get us to the drugs?
We don't need the music to get us to the drugs, but the culture is the culture. The subculture is the subculture. And Dylan, the poet, said, to live outside the law, you must be honest.
I got to tell you how I met your brother.
Yeah.
I replaced Howard Stern on NBC Radio,
Uh-huh.
and I got a call from George Carlin, and here's the call in the control room. He said, "Who is this guy?" Because I came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
and I was just another guy with a point of view.
But
Not
he
like
loved
Howard,
it. George loved it.
But he called and he said, "You're really funny."
Oh,
and this
yeah.
is George Carlin. And
Oh,
I says,
yeah.
I put him on the air. I says, "Now who are you really?" "No, this is George
Yeah, that
Carlin."
would be George. That
I said,
would be
"Where
something
are
he
you?"
would do,
And he
sure.
says, "I'm on the thruway." And I said, "What are you doing on the thruway?" He says, "I'm driving on the thruway." Somebody has to.
Yeah.
So why did he get so mean in the end when he lost his wife? What happened?
He doesn't really mean it. Was just playing that role of curmudgeon. That things that pissed me off. That's just. I know him, how he was in his soul, man, and he was beautiful
One
right
of a
until
kind.
the end. We
One
spoke
of a
every
kind.
week. We spoke every week.
I wanted to steal that shtick, though, about things that piss me off. Because, I go through life up here. I'm a military school graduate.
Oh, yeah.
I took over 300 LSD trips with my bros in
Oh,
the 60s.
yeah.
And there's things that piss me off. So I would love to tell the rest of the world. Facebook ain't big enough for telling the world.
Oh, yeah, no. But he seemed that way near the end, but he was still a cool guy right up.
How about you?
Me?
He's the happiest guy I know.
Yeah.
He is the happiest, most positive, loving man I've ever known. I love this guy.
Oh, God bless
Got
you.
butterflies all around him.
God bless you, man. Oh, yeah, I had a butterfly land on me once. I
Well,
thought that was cool. I was up in Vermont, and I was out in the fields with some very nice stuff that was growing in the olden days of the 70s, And we loved it. We planted everything. In fact, we put trees out back. I had some Thai seeds.
Okay.
And we put seeds out back, and the two that first came up, we named Donnie and Marie after the Osmonds. And then a little one came up, and we named it Little Jimmy.
Okay.
And we had the Osmond family covered on reefer, man. But we'd bring hash oil down to New York then and just, take it to the neighborhood and just give it away.
Well, how about now? Are we going to...
I don't do nothing now. I'm just an old fart.
I could light up right now if you wanted. Believe me.
Well, go ahead.
I have an induction tonight into the Blues Hall of Fame up in Hudson, and I have to get warmed up because the blues world,
yeah.
that's a good world.
It's a wonderful
Was that the beginning of reefer?
Or was it jazz?
Well, it was the beginning of white folks getting reefer, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because all the blues cats from the Delta and from down, in the world down south, they already had the reefer. And then when the management got a hold of them and they started making them into recordings, then the white people said, "Hey, man, what are they doing in those studios?"
Yeah.
And that's how we all got a hold of it, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
But just for a point of historical perspective, where we're sitting right now, Bearsville proper, Bearsville Studio is there, Bearsville Woodstock Radio is there, but buried back there is the legendary producer, agent Albert Grossman.
Oh.
Albert, who managed Levon in the band, and Dylan, and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and Janice.
Yeah.
When he passed, some local big shots got together and made sure that Albert was buried in his own domain.
This mountain, you know where I wanna go. Straight down the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico, to Lake Charles, Louisiana. Little Bessie girl I once knew, and she told me just to come on by if there's anything that she could do. Up on Cripple Creek, she sends me if I spring.
I'll tell you about reefer and black folks and reefer and stuff, because we lived on 23rd in Amsterdam, and one night me and two of my buddies were drinking, and we were underage, but we had phony ID, and we leave this regular bar at 500 West 125th Street. It was called the 500 Club, and the bartender was a black dude, and he takes me and Joey Phillips. There's a Joey for you. He takes me and Joey and Dave, and we go over to a place called the Abraham Lincoln Lodge.
Nice.
116th Street and 5th Avenue, and he introduces us as 3 of the ink spots.
Only way you could pass, right?
We had a beautiful night. We had a beautiful night, man.
Well,
but I was full of gin and beer, and I go in to take a leak, and there's 2 black dudes passing the J.
Right.
And the minute I go in there, the dude offers it to me, and I'm like 17. It was 1949. I had never smoked. And I take a hit, and I take another hit, and it didn't do nothing for me because I was full of gin and beer. And I would bunk into it from time to time while alcohol was taking its toll on me, because I am Irish, Joey, and that's a good clue, like, not to be putting a whole lot of alcohol into you. Don't make it worse. Yeah. So I'm drinking, I'm drinking, and when it got to be, I finally did a 502 out there in California. I pumped up a .24 and I'm a dead player, and I tell my wife, she don't even want to, she's just driving home, they look straight ahead, they don't talk, and I said, "I'm quitting drinking, honey." And I said, "No, I'm quitting drinking, honey, for my 33rd birthday. It's coming up in a couple of days." And I said, "I ain't drinking no more." And I was 33, so I didn't drink. I just quit. I was just a lucky guy. I didn't have to go to rehab, which I recommend for anybody having trouble.
My daughter never told me that she was growing marijuana. She didn't even tell me she was smoking marijuana. But I had my suspicions because we've been in school for troubled teens with a program with parental involvement. My other daughter squealed on her. And I found out that not only is she smoking marijuana, she's growing it. And I thought, oh my God, she's in the business, And it's not the family business that I grew up with. But I think my daughter... I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about her. I went to visit her, and that's why I'm doing this documentary. I think she's wonderful. She's a great business person, too. She's learned how to make money. At first, I thought she was criminal, but now I think of her as being the Bill Gates of gardening.
I won't get high being in here, will I?
No. Look, see, watch. Look at this one. These are OG cross. Usually you want to cut them when the hairs turn amber. They go from milky to amber, like these down here turn amber. But this is an 11-week strain, and we needed the room to put the other ones in, so we cut them a week early. Which won't do too much, but the potency won't be as high.
Looks like a nice bridal bouquet.
I did do a picture of me like this. I was like, I'm gonna throw the bouquet. Who's gonna catch it?
The other thing would be if someone's in the hospital, you, instead of sending a flower,
send some nugs.
Let me tell you what happened. Carolyn, my ex-wife, we had gotten married and we went to Hawaii on our honeymoon. Maui has a 40 miles of bad road from one side of the island to Hana, and they keep it that way so they don't have a lot of traffic on it. So I said, boy, this is pretty interesting. You know, it took forever to go 40 miles. And I noticed something. There was a guy with a huge, one of those bags, what, hefty bags?
Yeah.
And your mother and I were both driving, and I thought of it for a minute. I said, I think he's selling weed. So we backed up at about 100 miles an hour.
And did you ask him for
And asked him for a bag. And I said, what do? Do you fill potholes? The guy grabbed the bag back from me. He thought I didn't like my jokes. What a nice couple. You guys look so great together. This is going to be, I'm sending this to the Bureau of Investigation.
Nice, tell them, because they've been looking for a while.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Mercedes. I love you, baby.
I love you, Daddy.
Okay, stay away from marijuana.